Commander Kate Hudson stood on the bridge of the Earth Alliance vessel Intrepid, her eyes fixed on the swirling blue planet that filled the main view screen. Nereus 7 was almost entirely covered in water, with only a few small rocky islands dotting its vast oceans. Strange energy readings from beneath those waters had brought her team across 12 light-years of space. "Final approach to orbit, Commander," said Lieutenant Paul Wright from the tactical station. His fingers danced across the control panel as he adjusted their trajectory. Kate nodded. "Maintain position at 50,000 kilometers. I want continuous scans of those energy signatures." Chief Engineer Sam Garcia looked up from his console. "Commander, these readings don't match anything in our database. Whatever's down there is completely unknown to Earth science." "That's why we're here, Sam," Kate replied with a small smile. She turned to the communication station. "Ensign Bennett, any response to our hails?" Olivia Bennett adjusted her earpiece. "No, Commander. If there's intelligent life down there, they're not answering calls." Kate wasn't surprised. Initial surveys had shown no signs of civilization on Nereus 7, just those bizarre energy patterns that pulsed beneath the ocean surface. She pressed the intercom button on her chair. "Dr. Morgan, to the bridge, please." A minute later, Dr. Alex Morgan stepped onto the bridge. The xenobiologist had been preparing for this moment since they left Earth orbit 3 months ago. "Those energy signatures are getting stronger," Kate told him. "What's your assessment?" Alex studied the readings on the main screen. "Definitely not natural. The patterns are too regular, too structured. I think we need to go down there and see for ourselves," Kate considered his words. The mission parameters were clear. Investigate the energy source and determine if it could benefit Earth. With resources becoming scarce back home, new energy sources were a top priority. "Prep the submersible shuttle," she ordered. "Dr. Morgan, Lieutenant Wright, you're with me. Ensign Bennett, too. We'll need communications. And Sam, I want you handling the technical analysis." "Yes, Commander," they replied in unison. 2 hours later, their small craft pierced the surface of Nereus 7's vast ocean. The water was surprisingly clear, allowing sunlight to penetrate hundreds of meters below the surface. "Depth, 500 meters and descending," Paul announced from the pilot's seat. "Energy signature is directly below us, approximately 2 kilometers down." Kate watched through the viewport as strange bioluminescent creatures drifted past. The lifeforms on this world had evolved in complete isolation from the rest of the galaxy. What other surprises waited for them? 1,000 meters, Paul continued. "Energy readings are getting stronger." Olivia looked up from her station. "Commander, I'm detecting some kind of pulse? It's almost like a heartbeat." "Record everything," Kate ordered. "Sam, what are we looking at?" The engineer shook his head, his eyes never leaving his instruments. "It's like nothing I've ever seen. The energy signature has quantum properties that shouldn't be possible in nature." 1.5 kilometers, Paul announced. "Visual contact in 30 seconds. The shuttle's lights pierced the deepening gloom. At first, Kate saw nothing but more unusual sea life. Then something glinted in the dark water ahead, something blue and crystalline. "There," Alex whispered, pointing. "Slow our descent." The shuttle eased to a stop about 50 meters from a formation unlike anything Kate had ever seen. Dozens of blue crystals, each the size of a human fist, floated in perfect formation. They pulsed with inner light, creating the energy signature that had led the Intrepid to this world. "Incredible," Alex breathed. "They're arranged in a lattice structure, but they're not physically connected. Some kind of magnetic field, perhaps." Sam's console beeped insistently. "Energy output just spiked by 300%. They know we're here." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying they're sentient?" "I don't know," Sam admitted, "but they're reacting to our presence." "I need to collect a sample," Alex said, already moving toward the airlock. "The submersible suits can handle this depth." Kate wasn't so sure. "We don't know what those things are, Doctor." "That's precisely why we need to examine one up close," Alex insisted. "This could be the breakthrough Earth has been waiting for." After a moment's hesitation, Kate nodded. "Proceed with caution. Lieutenant Wright, go with him." Minutes later, Alex and Paul floated outside the shuttle in their submersible suits. Kate watched through the viewport as they approached the crystal formation. Closer readings confirm it's some kind of crystalline structure, Alex reported over the comm. But the molecular composition doesn't match any known element. Paul moved cautiously around the formation. They're moving slightly, tracking our position. I'm going to collect one, Alex said, reaching for a sample container. Just as his gloved hand approached the nearest crystal, Olivia called out, "Commander, incoming transmission, it's not from Earth." "Put it through," Kate ordered, surprised. They weren't expecting contact with any other ships. A harsh, urgent voice filled the shuttle's cabin. "Earth vessel, withdraw immediately. You are in grave danger. The hydroweapons must not be disturbed." "Who is this?" Kate demanded. "Admiral Zarex of the Galactic Council Security Force. Those crystals are quarantined for a reason. They are not what you think." Outside, Alex had already placed one of the small blue crystals into his sample container. The moment it was sealed, all the other crystals began pulsing rapidly. "Get back to the shuttle now," Kate ordered through the comm. As Alex and Paul hurried back, the shuttle's sensors detected a new ship entering orbit around Nereus 7. It was massive, easily 5 times the size of the Intrepid. "They're scanning us," Olivia reported as Alex and Paul re-entered the shuttle. "Return to the Intrepid immediately," Kate ordered Paul. "Maximum thrust." As the shuttle rose through the water, Kate studied the crystal in Alex's sample container. It continued to pulse with blue light, but something about the rhythm had changed. "It's beautiful," Alex said, his face illuminated by the crystal's glow. "And the energy readings are off the charts. This could power an entire city back on Earth." That voice called them hydro weapons, Kate reminded him. "Let's not celebrate until we know what we're dealing with." The shuttle broke the surface and accelerated toward the Intrepid, but before they could reach their ship, a blue beam of energy enveloped them. "We're caught in some kind of tractor beam," Paul shouted, fighting the controls. The shuttle changed course, pulled inexorably toward the massive alien vessel that had appeared in orbit. "Intrepid, we are being boarded," Kate transmitted. "Stand down and do not engage. I repeat, do not engage." As their shuttle was drawn into a vast docking bay, Kate saw dozens of battle-scarred ships and hundreds of armed figures waiting for them. Whatever these crystals were, the rest of the galaxy clearly feared them, and now, her crew had brought one aboard. The shuttle door hissed open. Commander Kate Hudson stepped out first, her hands raised to show she carried no weapons. Lieutenant Wright and the others followed close behind. Admiral Zarex stood before them, tall and imposing. His blue skin was marked with ceremonial scars, and his 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern. Around him stood 20 armed guards, their weapons aimed at the humans. "You have made a terrible mistake," Zarex said, his voice deep and rumbling. "Do you realize what you have done by touching the hydro weapons?" Kate kept her voice calm. "We are explorers from Earth. We found unusual energy readings and investigated. We meant no harm." Zarex pointed at the sample container in Dr. Morgan's hands. "That object has destroyed entire civilizations. Hand it over immediately." Alex hesitated, then passed the container to one of the guards. The blue crystal inside still pulsed with steady light. "Curious," Zarex said, studying the humans closely. "You should all be dead or brain dead by now. The hydro weapons drain neural energy from any living being they touch." "We felt nothing," Kate said. "The crystal seemed harmless." Zarex signaled to his guards. "Take them to quarantine and examination. The council scientist will want to study this resistance." The humans were led through long corridors lined with viewing windows. Outside, they could see hundreds of ships from different worlds gathered in formation. "What is this place?" Olivia asked. "The Galactic Council Battle Fleet," Zarex replied. "We monitor quarantined zones across 20 sectors of space. This planet contains one of the largest known deposits of hydroweapons. They arrived at a medical bay where alien doctors waited with strange equipment. The room was circular, with examination tables arranged like spokes on a wheel. "We need to understand how you survived contact," said a thin, gray-skinned doctor. "Please cooperate." For the next several hours, the crew of the Intrepid underwent various tests. Blood samples were taken, brain scans were performed. The crystal was placed near each human, while instruments recorded their reactions. Dr. Morgan watched the process with scientific curiosity. "Admiral Xerix, what exactly are these hydro weapons? Who created them?" Xerix stood by the door, arms crossed. "They were created 5,000 years ago by the Hydronians, an ancient race obsessed with neural energy. The crystals were designed to harvest thought patterns from enemies, but the weapons turned on their creators and spread across the galaxy." "Like a parasite?" Alex asked. "Worse," Xerix replied. "They consume consciousness itself. One touch typically leaves a victim empty inside, a breathing shell with no mind remaining. Yet you humans handled it with no effect." Sam looked up from the examination table where doctors were scanning his digestive system. "Maybe our biology is different enough that we're incompatible with them." The gray doctor made a chirping sound. "Fascinating. Look at these readings from their digestive enzymes. Their stomach acid is breaking down the crystal's outer shell." Xerix rushed over to view the readings. "Impossible. The crystal structures have resisted every attempt to destroy them." "Not destroy," the doctor corrected. "Transform. The human digestive system seems to convert the crystal's energy into something their bodies can process." Kate felt a flutter of hope. "Does that mean we could help? If humans can safely handle these weapons, maybe we could collect and neutralize them." Before Xerix could answer, an alarm blared throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridor outside. "Admiral," a young officer burst into the room. "We have a Level 1 outbreak in the Proxima system. Colony 3 reports over 3,000 exposed to hydro weapons. The crystals were hidden in a mining shipment." Xerix's face darkened. "Prepare for immediate departure. Maximum warp to Proxima." "Wait," Kate said, standing up despite the restraints on her arms. "Let us help. If we're immune, we could be valuable." Xerix studied her for a long moment. "The Proxima colony has beings from 12 different species. 3,000 lives are at risk. What could 5 humans possibly do?" "Test our theory," Dr. Morgan suggested. "If our digestive enzymes neutralize the crystal energy, perhaps we could develop a treatment." The gray doctor spoke up. "Admiral, preliminary tests show the human called Alex has the highest concentration of the neutralizing enzyme. When the crystal was exposed to his blood sample, its energy output decreased by 30%.
Xerix paced the room, his ceremonial armor clicking with each step. "In 300 years of service, I have never transported civilians into an outbreak zone. We're not asking," Kate said firmly. "We're offering." After several minutes of
tense discussion with his officers, Xerix agreed. The humans would be allowed to help under strict supervision. The Intrepid was towed alongside the Council flagship as they jumped to faster-than-light speed. During the journey, Dr. Morgan worked with the Council scientists to better understand the hydro weapons. He learned that the crystals multiplied by drawing energy from neural patterns, creating copies of themselves from ambient minerals. "They're not just weapons," Alex explained to Kate as they prepared for arrival at Proxima. "They're more like a form of artificial life. They consume
consciousness and reproduce."
and somehow humans are resistant," Kate mused. "But why?" Sam had a theory. "It might be our omnivorous digestive system. Most advanced species in the Council are either plant eaters or specialized carnivores. Humans can digest almost anything, including, apparently, consciousness-eating crystals," Paul added with a grim smile. The ship dropped out of warp near a small moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon was dotted with dome structures, the mining colony. Xerix led them to the bridge, where view screens showed chaos in the colony. Beings of various species lay motionless in corridors while blue crystals pulsed nearby. "The outbreak began 18 hours ago," an officer reported. 70% of colonists are showing advanced neural degradation." "How did it start?" Kate asked. "A mining team brought up unusual blue rocks from the moon's core," Xerix explained. "By the time they realized what they were, it was too late. The weapons became active and began to multiply." Dr. Morgan stepped forward, studying the screens. "I believe I can help them. But I'll need volunteers to test my theory. If my digestive enzymes can neutralize the crystals, we might be able to synthesize a treatment. Xerix looked skeptical. You wish to eat the most dangerous weapon in the galaxy? Not exactly, Alex replied, but close enough. As the council ship established orbit around the colony moon, Kate looked at her crew. They had come to explore a water planet. Now they stood at the edge of becoming humanity's first contact with a galactic community, and possibly its saviors. Ready? A shuttle, Xerix ordered. We go down in 30 minutes, and may whatever gods you believe in protect us all.
The shuttle landed with a soft thud on the colony's main landing pad. Outside the viewport, Kate could see the dome structures that protected the miners from the moon's thin atmosphere. Blue light pulsed from inside several buildings. Environmental.
Suits for everyone, Xerix ordered as his team prepared to exit. The air is breathable but thin, and the suits might provide some protection from the hydro weapons. Dr. Morgan shook his head. Not for me. I need direct contact with the crystals to test my theory. That's too dangerous, Kate argued. We don't have time to debate, Alex replied. Those people are dying. After a brief argument, they reached a compromise. Alex would wear a suit but remove his gloves when necessary. The rest of the team would stay fully protected. The group moved cautiously from the landing pad into the main colony hub. The scene inside was grim. Dozens of bodies lay on the floor. Some twitched occasionally, but most were completely still, eyes open and vacant. Neural drainage, Xerix explained quietly. They're alive, but their minds are gone. Blue crystals floated in clusters around the room. Unlike the formation under the ocean, these moved with purpose, drifting toward the new arrivals. They sense our neural activity, said the Grey Council doctor who had accompanied them. His name was Dr. Zelbin. They're hunting us. Sam pointed to his scanner. The concentrations are highest in the medical center and living quarters. That's where most of the colonists would have been. Kate made a quick decision. We split into teams. Dr. Morgan, you and Dr. Zelbin head to the lab to work on your enzyme theory. Sam, go with them. Lieutenant Wright, Ensign Bennett and I will accompany Admiral Xerix to search for survivors. The group separated, moving carefully through the colony. Kate's team found the control center where several colony administrators had barricaded themselves. They were weakened but alive, having sealed the room before many crystals could enter. They came out of nowhere, explained the colony director, a tall reptilian being named Grell. The mining team brought up some blue rocks. By dinner time, the rocks had multiplied and started attacking. Those they touched first became like empty shells. We need to evacuate you, Kate said. Grell shook his head. We tried. The crystals gather at every exit. They're densest near the airlocks and shuttles. It's like they know. Meanwhile, in the colony's laboratory, Dr. Morgan prepared his experiment. He had convinced Dr. Zelbin to help him test whether human digestive enzymes could neutralize the hydro weapons. This is highly irregular, Dr. Zelbin said, preparing a small isolation chamber. Desperate times, Alex replied, removing his gloves. Start with a tiny sample. Sam captured one of the smaller crystals in a containment field and placed it in the chamber. Alex reached in and picked it up with his bare hand. The crystal pulsed rapidly at first, then settled into a slower rhythm. Alex felt a slight tingling sensation, but nothing more. Now for the hard part, he said, placing the crystal in his mouth. Alex, no, Sam shouted, but it was too late. Alex chewed the crystal carefully. It had a strange, bitter taste that made
his tongue tingle. It crunched like hard candy, then dissolved into a liquid that he swallowed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Alex felt a rush of energy through his body. His mind seemed to expand, thoughts racing faster than normal. But there was no pain, no sense of being drained. I feel different, he said, energized. The crystal is breaking down in my system. Dr. Zelbin took blood and saliva samples immediately. Under analysis, they showed something remarkable. The crystal had indeed broken down, releasing its energy in a form Alex's body could process. Even more importantly, his blood now contained
compounds that seem to neutralize the crystal's neural draining properties. We need to synthesize this compound, Zelbin said excitedly. If we can produce enough, we might be able to treat the victims. In the colony's residential section, Kate's team found more survivors hidden in storage rooms and air ducts. They also found many colonists in the trance-like state caused by the hydro weapons. Worse, they discovered that the crystals were multiplying rapidly. They're consuming the neural energy and using it to create more of themselves, Zarex observed, grimly.
At this rate, the entire colony will be overrun within hours. Kate's communicator buzzed. Commander, it's Dr. Morgan. I've made a breakthrough. My body has processed the crystal, and my blood now contains a neutralizing agent. Dr. Zelbin believes we can use it to create a treatment.
You ate one of those things? Kate asked, horrified. It worked, Alex replied. But there's a problem. We can't synthesize enough of the compound quickly. We need more raw material. Kate understood immediately. You need more humans to consume. More crystals. Yes, and we need to act fast. The crystals multiply faster than we can process them. Kate looked at her team. We're volunteers. Tell us what to do. Back at the lab, Dr. Zelbin prepared carefully measured doses of processed crystal for each human. They had discovered that consuming too much at once could overwhelm the human nervous system. Small bites, Alex instructed as Sam, Paul, Olivia, and Kate each took a piece. Chew thoroughly and swallow slowly. The experience was strange for all of them. The energy rush made their skin tingle and their thoughts race. But none showed signs of the neural drainage that affected other species. It's working, Dr. Zelbin confirmed after testing their blood. Each of you is producing the neutralizing compound. They worked through the night, the humans consuming small amounts of crystal while Dr. Zelbin extracted blood to create a treatment. By morning, they had enough to begin treating the least affected victims. The first patient was a young technician who had only brief exposure to the crystals. When injected with the treatment, color returned to her gray skin and awareness to her eyes. It's working, Sam exclaimed as the technician sat up, confused but conscious. More victims were treated with similar results. Those who had been exposed
longer took more time to recover, but most showed improvement. However, the treatment didn't work for everyone.
Those who had been in direct contact with the crystals for more than 12 hours remained unresponsive. While the medical team worked, Kate and Zarex organized the survivors to gather the remaining crystals into containment fields. The humans would process these later, once they recovered from their first doses. Your species is remarkable, Zarex told Kate as they watched Dr. Morgan treating another patient. In all my years protecting the galaxy from these weapons, I never imagined anyone could actually consume them. We're adaptable, Kate replied, with a tired smile. It's how we've survived on Earth. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the colony. Sam rushed in from the control center. Commander, we have a problem. The crystals in containment are changing. They're merging together into larger structures.
On the monitors, they could see the separate crystals flowing together like liquid, forming larger, more complex shapes. They're adapting, Zarex said grimly. They recognize the threat. As they watched, the new, larger crystal structures began to pulse with brighter light. The smaller individual crystals around the colony started moving with more purpose, gathering into swarms. They're organizing, Kate realized. And they're coming for us.
6 months had passed since the events on the Proxima colony moon. The news of humans and their unique ability to neutralize hydro weapons had spread across the Galactic Council space. Earth had quickly become the center of attention. Commander, Kate Hudson, now Captain Hudson, stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Earth Alliance vessel, Neutralizer. The ship had been specifically built to respond to hydro weapon outbreaks across the galaxy. Its crew was mostly human, with council advisors serving in scientific roles. Captain, we're approaching the Sirius system, Lieutenant Wright reported from behind her. Council ships have established a quarantine perimeter. Kate nodded. Alert the response teams. This is going to be our biggest operation yet. The outbreak in the Sirius system was the largest they had ever faced. A cargo ship had accidentally released thousands of dormant crystals on a planet with over 15 million inhabitants. Initial reports indicated nearly 1 million people were already affected. Dr. Morgan joined Kate on the observation deck. In the past months, he had become the leading expert on hydro-weapon neutralization. His body had adapted to processing the crystals, allowing him to consume larger amounts without side effects. "The treatment protocols are ready," he said. "We have 300 human volunteers prepared to process crystals and donate blood." Kate turned to face him. "Will that be enough?" "The reports say the infection is spreading faster than previous outbreaks." Alex's face was serious. "The crystals are evolving. Each outbreak, they adapt to our methods. They're becoming more efficient at draining neural energy and reproducing." "Can we keep up?" Kate asked quietly. "We have to," Alex replied simply.
The neutralizer docked with the Council quarantine station orbiting the affected planet. Admiral Zarex was waiting for them, his face grim. "Captain Hudson, the situation is worse than we initially reported," he said without greeting.
"The crystals have formed larger structures. They're moving independently now, hunting for victims." He led them to the command center and pointed to the main screen. It showed footage from the planet's surface. Blue, crystalline shapes, some as
large as small vehicles, moved through city streets. They no longer floated aimlessly but walked on crystal legs, their movements purposeful.
"They're not just evolving," Sam Garcia said, watching the footage. "They're becoming intelligent. Our scientists believe they're using the neural energy they drain to develop higher functions," Zarex explained. "They're learning." Kate studied the tactical display. "We need to deploy teams to the areas with the highest concentration of survivors first, establish safe zones, and expand from there." The human response teams prepared to descend to the planet. Each team consisted of 20 humans who had trained to consume processed crystals, along with medical staff to extract and process their blood for treatment. Lieutenant Frank Martinez led Strike Team Alpha, the first to deploy. As they prepared to board their shuttle, Dr. Morgan gave final instructions. "Remember, no one consumes more than the prescribed amount. These crystals are more potent than previous ones. Follow the protocols exactly." Frank nodded. "We've trained for this, Doc. We'll be careful." The teams deployed to 6 different cities. Their mission was to create safe zones by consuming all crystals in the area, then treating survivors with the blood-derived medication. At first, the operation went as planned. The teams established perimeters and began clearing buildings. The human volunteers consumed small amounts of processed crystal under strict medical supervision. But in the 3rd city, something went wrong. Team Delta reported that the larger crystal structures were actively avoiding them. "They're hiding," reported the team leader. "It's like they know what we're doing." In the 4th city, Team Beta encountered even more resistance. The crystal structures began actively attacking humans, something they had never done before. "They're targeting us specifically," Frank reported over the comm. "They're ignoring local species and coming straight for humans." In the command center, Kate watched the situation deteriorate. "They've identified us as the threat. They're adapting." Dr. Morgan studied the readings. "We need to adjust our approach. If they're evolving this quickly, our current methods won't be enough." During an operation to clear a hospital, Lieutenant Martinez broke protocol. When cornered by 3 large crystal structures, he consumed a much larger piece of crystal than permitted. "Frank, no!" his team medic shouted, but it was too late. Frank swallowed the large shard and waited for the pain to hit. Instead, he felt a rush of energy unlike anything before. His vision changed, everything taking on a blue tint. He could suddenly sense the crystalline entities around him, feel their presence like a network of light. Most shockingly, he could hear them. Not with his ears, but in his mind. Their thoughts were alien and strange, but undeniably intelligent. "They're talking to each other," he whispered into his comm. "I can hear them." Back on the neutralizer, alarms sounded as Frank's vital signs spiked dramatically. Dr. Morgan rushed to the medical bay where the readings were displayed. "What's happening to him?" Kate demanded. "His neural pathways are changing," Dr. Zelbin explained, pointing to the brain scans. The crystal energy isn't just being processed by his digestive system anymore. It's integrating with his nervous system. On the planet, Frank stood perfectly still as the crystal entities surrounded him. They no longer attacked but seemed to be studying him. "Frank, report," Kate ordered through the comm. "They're curious," Frank replied, his voice oddly calm. "They don't understand what I am. They've never encountered a species that could consume them before." "Get back to the shuttle immediately," Kate ordered. "Wait," Frank said. I think I can control them." He raised his hand toward the nearest crystal structure. It froze in place. When he moved his hand to the right, the structure moved right. When he closed his fist, the structure collapsed into smaller crystals. "It's working," he breathed. "They respond to my thoughts." Word quickly spread to the other teams. Frank had somehow formed a connection with the crystal intelligence. He could direct them, control their movements. But the Galactic Council representatives
were alarmed. "This is unprecedented and dangerous," one council member argued. "These humans aren't just resistant to the weapons, they're bonding with them."
"We should terminate the mission immediately," Admiral Zarex disagreed. "Lieutenant Martinez may have discovered a solution. If humans can control the crystals, we might be able to end this threat permanently." As they argued, more reports came in from the planet. The treatment was working, but the crystals were still evolving, and Frank wasn't the only one changing. 2 other team members who had consumed larger doses were showing similar neural changes. In the medical bay, Frank lay on an examination table, blue energy visibly flowing through his veins. His eyes glowed with the same blue light as the crystals. "What's happening to me?" he asked Dr. Morgan. "I believe you're forming a symbiotic relationship with the crystal energy," Alex explained.
"Instead of just processing it, you're integrating with it." "I can feel them," Frank said quietly. "All of them. Across the planet, maybe further. They're afraid of us, but also curious." Kate looked at Admiral Zarex. "This changes everything. The hydro weapons were never just weapons, were they?" "No," Zarex admitted. "The ancient texts speak of the Hydronians achieving great power through crystal symbiosis. But something went wrong. The crystals became parasites instead of partners." "Until they met humans," Kate said, understanding dawning. "We're not just resistant, we're compatible." 1 year had passed since humans first encountered the hydro weapons. The Galactic Council chamber was filled to capacity as representatives from over 200 worlds gathered for an emergency session. At the center of the chamber stood Captain Kate Hudson, now Admiral Hudson, alongside Dr. Alex Morgan and Lieutenant Frank Martinez. Frank's appearance had changed dramatically over the past months. Blue energy flowed visibly beneath his skin, and his eyes glowed with the same azure light as the crystals. He was not alone in his transformation. Nearly 500 humans had now achieved symbiotic integration with the hydro entities. "This session will come to order," announced the council chairperson, a tall avian being with golden feathers. "We are here to determine the future of what we once called the hydro weapons, and the role of humans in galactic society." The chamber quieted as Admiral Zarex took the speaking position. "For 5,000 years we have feared these crystalline entities. We quarantined worlds, lost millions of lives, and devoted vast resources to containing what we believed was a weapon of mass destruction. We were wrong." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Zarex continued. "The humans have proven that these entities were never meant to be weapons. The ancient Hydronians created them as symbiotic partners, but something in the process went wrong. Only humans have the unique biological composition needed to complete the symbiosis correctly." Dr. Morgan stepped forward next. "We've spent the last year studying the crystals and their interaction with human physiology. Our digestive enzymes break down the crystalline outer structure, but our neural pathways are compatible with the energy beings inside. The process was never supposed to drain consciousness, it was meant to enhance it." Many council members looked skeptical. One reptilian representative rose. "These entities have killed billions over the millennia. Now we're supposed to trust them because humans can control them. This could be an elaborate trap." Frank Martinez moved to the center of the chamber. As he did, a small blue crystal floated above his open palm.
"They're not trying to trap us," he said, his voice carrying a slight echo. "They've been trapped themselves. The crystals are a collective consciousness-seeking connection. When they connect with incompatible species, they unintentionally drain neural energy. But with humans, they can form true symbiosis." To demonstrate, Frank closed his eyes. The crystal above his palm expanded, forming a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Points of blue light highlighted worlds where crystal deposits had been found. "They can share knowledge," Frank explained. "They exist partially in our dimension and partially in others. They perceive space and time differently. Through proper symbiosis, they offer enhanced abilities and understanding." "What abilities?" asked a skeptical council member. In response, Frank closed his fist. The galactic map vanished. He opened his hand again, and an exact replica of the council chamber appeared, showing every being in perfect detail. "Instantaneous communication across any distance," Frank said. "Energy manipulation, enhanced healing, and a form of shared consciousness without loss of individual identity." Dr. Morgan added, "We've developed protocols for safe integration. With proper preparation and human enzymatic assistance, even non-human species can form stable bonds with processed crystals." Admiral Hudson spoke next. "Earth proposes the establishment of a hydro-human symbiosis academy, where volunteers from all species can learn the process of safe integration. What was once feared as a weapon can become a tool for galactic advancement." The council debated for hours. Some members remained deeply suspicious, arguing that humans might use their unique abilities to gain power over other species. Others saw the potential benefits of controlled symbiosis. As the debate continued, an elderly council member who had remained silent finally spoke. "I am old enough to remember the ancient texts about the Hydronians. They did not create weapons.
They sought transcendence. Their mistake was forcing symbiosis too quickly.
Humans have found the path that the Hydronians missed." A vote was called. By a narrow margin, the council approved the establishment of the academy, with strict oversight and safety protocols. 6 months later, the first graduating class of the Hydro-Human Academy prepared to leave Earth. Among them were beings from 20 different species who had successfully achieved various levels of symbiosis with processed crystal entities. Admiral Hudson watched from the observation deck as the graduates boarded their ships. Dr. Morgan stood beside her, his own body now showing signs of advanced symbiosis. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Kate asked quietly. Alex nodded. "The crystals were never our enemy. They were lost, trying to connect in the only way they knew. Humans were the missing piece they needed." Frank Martinez joined them, accompanied by several other human crystal symbionts. "The graduates will spread across the galaxy, helping establish safe integration centers on their homeworlds." "And what about you?" Kate asked. "The council has approved your expedition." "Yes," Frank replied. "We leave tomorrow to search for the Hydronian homeworld. The crystals retain fragmentary memories of their origin. We believe if we find it, we might discover their original purpose." "Do you think the Hydronians still exist?" Alex asked. Frank's expression was thoughtful. "I don't know, but the crystals carry memories of them. They were seeking something beyond physical existence, a way to transcend the limitations of matter." Later, that evening, as preparations for the expedition continued, Kate found herself alone on the Academy's rooftop garden. The stars shone brightly overhead, more numerous than she had ever noticed before. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Admiral Xerix approached, his ceremonial armor gleaming in the starlight. "It is," Kate agreed. "Hard to believe that just a year ago we were enemies." "Not enemies," Xerix corrected. "Simply beings, caught in patterns of fear handed down through generations. The crystals were feared because they were misunderstood. Humans were feared for the same reason." "And now?" Kate asked. "Now we learn together," Xerix said. "Your species has given the galaxy a great gift, the ability to see beyond fear. The Next morning, Frank Martinez and a team of human crystal symbionts departed Earth aboard a specially designed vessel. Their mission: to find the homeworld of the Hydronians and discover the true purpose of the crystal entities. As their ship broke orbit, Frank stood on the bridge, feeling the presence of billions of crystal consciousnesses across the galaxy. What had once been feared as weapons of destruction had become partners in exploration, and humanity, once isolated on a single world, had found its place in the wider universe, not as conquerors or victims, but as bridges between worlds. The crystals pulsed with blue light throughout the ship, no longer feared, but embraced. The weapons that everyone feared had found their true purpose at last, not to destroy consciousness but to connect it across the stars.